overall.
Hey, we should be happy, Contra. This is basically exactly what we asked for from one team. This is, in my opinion at least, their ideal draft. EVOS Esports do have a little bit more late game power, but they're loading all of their early game success in that double roam, the Fiora, the Twisted Fate.
Okay, I guess this is where there is a little bit of magic tricks being brought right in for game 2 as we prepare for ourselves for another wild card of a pick. So G4, is he still the best Twisted Fate that we've ever seen in the tournament, or will one team actually take this one away?
We'll find out. It's time for game number 2 of our Grand Finals. EVOS up 1 game, as we expected, but it was a knockdown brawl. They may be the favorites, but they're not winning this series easily.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot tougher than it looks like for the side of EVOS now, especially when you have Twisted Fate, who doesn't really have that much great base attack damage or AP ratios to work with. You don't really want to waste and expend too much of mana unless you go pick a card, take a blue card in. Now, One Team Esports goes in for a very invasive threat in towards the red buff. So this forces a vertical jungle overall, and EVOS now is going to say, yeah, we know what you're up to, and we're about to do the same.
Why is Thipper there? Can we get a camera on Thipper? He's just hanging out, trying to buy time, delaying the roam of Zhanyo. This is so clever. It buys more time for EVOS to get away with this steal. Thipper now on the roam, or sorry, Zhanyo now on the roam down, has been caught out by 3-4 members of EVOS as this level 1 Fiesta has just kept going. It doesn't look like it will ultimately result in anything. That red buff down on the bottom side of the map did not get stolen away. So it could be 3 buffs to 1 team. It could be Zhanyo able to grab all 3 jungle buffs, which would be a pretty significant early game advantage.
Yeah, and to add on top of that, the rotations are still coming right in. This is going to be a very low-level Braum, which I don't really do like, because essentially you want him to actually contribute in many of these team fights, but they're definitely going to be contributing a lot of priority, putting Tipper all the way back. Okay, let's calm down for a bit. Kit now getting stunned for a tad bit. So there will be push being set up by EVOS Esports after all. So not being too sure about whether or not if this is worth of the exchange, but we do have a fight coming up.
Zhanyo doesn't win that 1v2. First blood goes to EVOS. In the meantime, turret plating down bottom is held though, and this turret up top is going to die. So Zhanyo is losing that jungle matchup eventually, but it's not as bad as it could be. He still has a gold lead because of all the shenanigans that happened during the early game, and Ninja7 has just gotten a massive infusion of gold. So the carries we wanted to see succeed for one team, kind of the trade-off we set up, is paying off. Ninja7 has so much gold out of this early game.
Yeah, Ninja7 definitely had the bitter ends of every single trade that they were getting. Now, already opting to go in for the most cost-efficient items overall. And we had a little bit of slight discussion over the panel early on why would you actually opt to go for the Iceborne Gauntlet instead. It's not always the case that you have to build it when you're behind. It's the fact that you just want to avoid a little bit more damage, having a little bit more armor to work with, and the self-peeling mechanism that this Janna cannot just babysit you all the time, and she can actually focus on somewhere else, while Ninja7 knows how to take good care of himself, slowly taking out health buffs, especially when you do have items such as Blade of the Ruined King to just chunk out that percentage of HP, because every single shot is going to be on hit.
And we already saw the benefits of that. Is the reason Ninja7 gets all that early game gold is because she roams all the way behind Thipper in the top lane and just 1v1s him down to no HP. That early game bullying has massive benefits for one team, and it's unlocked because they feel safe leaving Ninja7 alone in lane.
Yeah, I guess this actually answers all the sort of the problems that they had back in game number 1, where Valdez definitely had the smoothest sailing ride inside of the jungle, and then slowly setting this up when it comes down to objective takedowns. So when this is going to be the case for not only Valdez, but the rest of the members of EVOS in particular. One team, they can really take all those 5v5s if they really want to, and G4 is going to be having trouble navigating even if he pops a Destiny in hopes to actually find Baya or even Ninja 7. So it's going to be a lot slippery, right? Now, one team, they do have 3 members down here, but the response will come in from EVOS Esports eventually.
This Drake is up. Very early game for EVOS. Normally they take a little bit longer to consider these objectives. One team, though, are so dependent on fighting these first couple of Drakes that EVOS are aware of it, and I think trying to skirmish with them more. One team are going to get priority on it. Destiny is cast. EVOS know what's up.
Oh.
Drake will go down. Explosive cask splits the aggression. EVOS have already lost their Braum. The true shot arcs through the team. Ninja 7 under focus, saved by the Monsoon. Shades of corruption do not land, and EVOS are in trouble as Valdez gets knocked incredibly low. They're all low. Dipper's gone as well. One team able to shove through the mid lane underneath the turret and find so many kills in this team fight. 3 in total. Absolutely massive.
This is where they're going tit for tat, but then again, like, for EVOS Esports, it's so unfortunate for the fact that Miracle, he was already lowered before the fight even begun. He was already forced to flash, and that Glacial Fissure you saw, the Braum was already ready to pop it out, and that True Shot Barrage just pierced him through the map. So I guess that EVOS Esports, they really didn't have to go in for that very first Drake, and they could opt to look for those sort of cross-map plays to open up the turret if they could. But because if they're behind, they really want to start something up. Now, this further sets them back for, what, nearly 3,000 gold. And for the likes of EVOS, they don't really have all too much of great vision being set up over on the top portion of the river. So they might actually give this away to one team, as the Rift Herald should be slain. And possibly taking a lot of plates, adding the gold stash for One Team Esports, the Gold Herald in their hand.
EVOS are going to try and mitigate that, having lost both early game objectives. They're going to take their turret, their first turret of the game, down bottom, getting a little bit of gold from that. But the Rift Herald charge presented by Globe is here in the mid lane. This turret's going to go down immediately and answer, and they may even get a second charge. One team aren't interested in that. They're going to instead focus up towards the top side.
It's a little bit hard for Sheldon to actually get to the second two turrets.
Poor Sheldon.
So, yeah, he just has to disappear for a while Xianyu should back away because here comes the gold card.
Gold card. He's going to get stunned up, but there isn't enough threat instantly. They don't feel safe diving for Xianyu underneath the turret, which is understandable. They're now going to threaten all of EVOS here. Literally all 5 members rotated up to the top side of the map for that prospective kill. The idea of getting the Lee Sin.
Yeah, overall, I just love the whole game plan that One Team Esports have crafted before this whole series begun. I believe that all this is in the planning, and of course, props to their coach for coming with something special to try to counter the likes of EVOS Esports in particular. They didn't really have too much time to actually prepare as well because, you know, EVOS Esports, they had pretty much the first series to actually take, and then it definitely went very well as they had a lot of studies watching. So one team, after their game there with Cerberus, they just marched right through and they said, okay, it's game on. We just want to set all these members of EVOS Esports behind. And the clear speed right now for One Team Esports is a lot better than what they had in the previous game. Yes, they used to have a whole lot of poke, but now you have both the pokes and also the wave clearer in particular at any given point of the game. And Varus, one thing about Varus is that if you go lethality build on Varus, hitting it towards the late game, you essentially just would be doing all too little as compared to this Astral who could just shoot you for maybe 20 times before you even land your 5th arrow, so to speak.
Yeah. And I do think it's also worth highlighting again how far ahead Ninja 7 is. And this is just because we talked about the round plan. We talked about how one team very much came into this series with the game plan of boosting Ninja 7 ahead. Here comes the next Drake fight. We're going to set up for it now.
That's right.
Oh, explosive cast around the side. Kid starts the fight, but Janyo's caught out. Redemption will keep him alive. Good zoning. EVOS have to fall away. Kid on the flank guarantees that. And so, one team will start this Drake. EVOS watched by that exploding barrel. Here comes the Destiny for full vision. Redemption on the Drake. Key package blown. Valdez in, does not get the steal. Secured in this smite fight by one. They're going to be able to walk away. Dragon in hand, nobody dead.
This is the very first time that we see them getting punished for it. Here comes the flash, and Janyo's looking for someone.
Janyo had absolutely no mobility, doesn't get punished for that, spends everything to get into range there. But EVOS are just on the run, they don't dare turn and fight.
This is the first time I'm actually looking at EVOS actually backing away from something that they could actually get as well, because they do not want to underestimate what one team has to offer. And speaking of which, Janyo trying to actually pull some tricks, and here comes G4.
Another explosive cast out of Kid. Corrupting arrows will land, dropping, but it doesn't matter. Cat Satan tries to limit the effect Baya is going to have in that team fight. Can't do anything. Another 2 kills over to Baya, another double kill over to Baya, as the mid lane mage for one team has yet another dominant game.
Wow, I just love how they just turned this massive role of that early game tempo into this current form that we are seeing overall. And, you know, early on we did talk about the Iceborne Gauntlet, which now isn't really the case because they're so ahead. They're really confident that, you know, Trinity Force will be offering you all of the essential stats that an Ezreal needs. So, EVOS, just look at the way that they're taking some of these fights. I guess that this Varus doesn't seem to be at the right spot in terms of the composition that they have drafted overall, because Tipper as well as Valdez, all they have to do is just dive right in for the pick, but you can't really get a catch on Baya, you can't really get a catch on Ninja 7, and I've kind of seen this one coming when they were to face EVOS Esports when they were taking on the Divinity side. So nobody really gets a grasp hold on all these very mobile marksmen. It's going to be very upsetting for EVOS eventually if they were to start to break even more of the turrets, especially when you have so much attack speed on their side.
Ooh. We didn't see him. Don't worry about it. So, I do want to acknowledge that, because you're raising some very good points about the scaling, but we also have what we talked about during the break between games, which is EVOS's late game macro is just so good. You can see, even now, when one team are sieging down the bottom lane turret, what are EVOS doing? They're going to get a turret in train. And this is one of the benefits Valdez gets from playing Fiora. You can just see how quickly these turrets fall. They're always seemingly capable of trading positive in these macro exchanges, no matter the game state. Does that provide a window back into this game, Contra?
It definitely does provide a little bit of a window, but I don't know for how long though, because One Team Esports, what they opt to do is to really stick together as a unit for most part. All you have to do, perhaps if you want to handle the side lanes, you have to Gragas to hold, but it's going to be really tough for him to really just pummel down on either Tipper or Valdez overall. Maybe Fiora is a little bit more manageable because once you actually build a tank Gragas, but this isn't likely the case. It's an AP Gragas that we are seeing, already having the Borello working on the Rabadon's death cap. So if you were to put this Gragas on the side lanes, it's honestly ill-advised. So might as well contribute in the team fights. I want to see more of that explosive cast, and then maybe somebody else will have to manage it later on.
And Kid is playing, to be clear, such a good series so far. 2 Gragas games, 2 incredible highlight-filled Gragas games. Destiny popped here, EVOS using that for utility. First of all, then finding an opportunity as the TP is spent. Kid's all alone. Explosive cast. Gets Kid out. Incredible stuff. Here's Janyo on the flank. Finding Thipper, dropping him low. Miracle has to shield up the play. Chains of Corruption will land onto the back lines, but it's Hugh who survives just fine. And now EVOS are behind in health bars and cooldowns as one team start this Infernal Dragon, the third of the game, would be their third of the game, locking EVOS out of any of the dragons. And that is indeed what will happen.
That was a beautiful Dragon's Rage. We saw 3 members of EVOS flying up in the air. They really have to expend what they need necessary to just get out of that alive. And that really opens up the room entirely for one team to secure an easy Drake on that Infernal. So Valdez really have to put some extra pressure on the map. So that split push, it has to be carried out. Now that multiple win condition that EVOS Esports used to have in all the other games that they have ever played has now succumbed to only one win condition that I'm seeing them actually coming out on top of one team, because you can't really do too much about these 2 marksmen that's on the side of one team esports.
Yeah, these team fights, it feels like they're being defined by Baya and Ninja in terms of damage, but I cannot say Kid's name enough. Kid and Jean-Yo are doing such a good job on the front lines of these fights, building space for that damage.
Yeah, overall, I think this is just a spectacular showing of the Gragas and what he can be capable of. So having that Gragas open, EVOS didn't really actually get this one for themselves, but they actually have the chance to do so in multiple occasions. So this one comes for free, and Kid is absolutely comfortable. Here comes another one.
Destiny was popped. Big engage in mid lane, will be stopped by the Glacial Mage. Oh! Flash cask again! Miracle needs to flash over the wall to survive, and Jean-Yo spots an opportunity. Instantly has to drop into stasis, though, as G4 is waiting, shuffling the deck. EVOS will back away, though. Low after that exchange, and one team just start the Baron.
This is absolutely ridiculous. Just look at the amount of poke, not only from both of the marksmen, but Kit in general. He's got all these stacks of AP. Now you have to get through the bodyguard of the Gragas, and this one goes to one team esports as the Globe Baron power play will be in effect.
That is ludicrous. One team make an opportunity and instantly follow through, burning down the Baron. Now have a massive gold lead. I asked you during the break whether or not we thought this was going all 5 games. It looks it, Contra. It looks it.
Oh, yeah. Now I'm pretty certain that the bare minimum is going to be 4, if this is going to be the case. So, one team esports, they have 2 huge lead to really throw it away. So, EVOS Esports, I don't know, like that early game that they just went around is going to be pretty bad.
Okay, so Jean-Yo in trouble here in the mid lane. Kid will back away, but Cat Satan's already dead. They're going to get the kill onto Miracle. There's a hard wave shove during this time. Inhibitor open. Ninja going for the game end. Thipper will be here in time. There's nothing they can do. This Nexus is gone, and your grand finals at the Summer Super Cup is tied 1-1.
This is